Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Winning Edge Coach podcast, where I aim to give you the tools, tactics, and techniques to help you achieve your true potential. I'm your host, Kevin Oakley, and today we're diving into a topic that touches all our lives: stress. Modern life keeps us spinning like hamsters on a wheel, in a way. Emails, deadlines, social obligations. Basically, we're bombarded in today's society by stress. But what if I told you the key to finding calm isn't the latest app or productivity hack, for want of a better word, or a meditation app, but a low-cost, no-cost, readily available option for most people? In this episode, I'm going to share with you a science-based tool for lowering your stress levels. Welcome to the Winning Edge Coach podcast. I am Kevin Oakley. As well as being your host, I'm also a peak performance mindset and life coach. In each episode, I want to share with you the tools, tactics, and techniques to create a winning edge mindset to help you to live the life you are meant to live. Okay, everybody. Today, we're exploring the surprising restorative power of nature. Specifically, how blue spaces like water, being near a river or the ocean, and green spaces like forests, parks, gardens can ease stress and improve your mental health and help you even to reconnect with yourself. Now, this isn't some kind of fancy woo-woo ode to nature, as it were. What I'll be sharing with you today is actionable tips grounded in fascinating new research that will help you harness the benefits of nature in your everyday life, even if you're in a busy city or you don't have time to escape out to the wilderness. So let's get going. We've all heard the saying, take a walk and you'll feel better. In fact, Hippocrates said over 2,500 years ago, walking is a man's best medicine. But what's behind this timeless wisdom? Science is starting to uncover that spending time in nature isn't just pleasant, not just an enjoyable thing to do. It actually helps to biologically reset our overworked minds and bodies. Green spaces, think about parks, forests, gardens, reduce cortisol levels, lower blood pressure, and give your brain a break from the constant demands of life. There's something even more fascinating. Research now suggests that blue spaces like oceans, rivers, even ponds might even have a more effective calming effect on our minds. Two studies conducted by Richard Cross, professor of psychology at UC Davis, and a former student, Craig Keller, psychology BA, found that viewing water, even just for 2 minutes, can significantly reduce blood pressure and promote a wakeful, relaxing state. If you think about it, why would that be? Well, as a species, for millions of years, our ancestors would have lived intimately connected with nature and the natural world. We would have roamed the savannah. We would have interacted with nature on a daily basis. That's how we survived. The sights, sounds, and smells of nature weren't a break from daily life for them. They were part of daily life. It was key to their survival. Among all the natural elements in that environment, water would have played an especially crucial role in shaping our survival and well-being. If you imagine early humans navigating their environment, accessibility to water and finding water wasn't just convenient, it was key to our survival. Streams, rivers, lakes provided hydration, food, and a safe place to settle. Water also, again, offered the cooling benefits in the cooling relief in hot climates and a source of hygiene and probably even a source of transportation. What we can make out, we were probably making movements on water long ago. So our brains have actually evolved to recognize water as a signal of safety and opportunity, which is why hearing the sound of water or seeing water often feels instinctively calming even today. I know with myself, when I'm around water, whether it's a river or the sea, I feel particularly calm. I feel particularly connected. It's almost something as if it's hardwired into me. And I suppose it is. That instinct to survive. Yeah, I know we live in a modern society with technology, water on tap, but we're still, if not evolved out of what has been hardwired into us over those hundreds of thousands of years. The need to be around water is still an intrinsic part of our DNA. Fast forward to today. And while we live in, for the want of a better word, an urban jungle, instead of our natural habitat, the habitat we evolved in, our connection to water is deeply embedded in our DNA. As I say, it's an intrinsic part of us. So when we sit by a lake, hear the river flowing, walk along a beach, we're actually tapping into that old part of our survival mechanism. It's a bond that reminds us of where we've come from and what sustains us. So, when we're stressed, should we head for the nearest park or beach? Well, that answer really relies on what we're looking for. Green spaces are fantastic for mental restoration. Just imagine sitting under a tree, away from the buzz of notifications from your phone or your laptop or emails. The green environment reduces cognitive fatigue. It sparks creativity and promotes mindfulness. Whereas blue spaces, being by the ocean, a river, pond, whatever that may be, provide a unique multisensory experience. If you think about it, you've got the rhythmic sound of the waves, the shimmering reflections of the light off the water, of course. And of course, the breeze that naturally comes with being by water. All this can lull your mind into a state of calm. In fact, you don't really need to choose one over the other. You could take a weekend walk across a woodland trail that ends by a lake or a stream or even by the sea. You've got the benefits of both worlds. You can combine the two to get the benefit of both. Stopping along the way, on the wooded trail to just sit and soak up the green, the calmness to restore you and boost your cognitive bandwidth and creativity, and then finish by the sea or by a river to actually then calm yourself. So just on a weekend walk, you can combine the two. So now I want to introduce you to one of the key concepts of this episode, which is called rewilding. Now, this particular concept, it's not about restoring nature. It's about restoring yourself. It's about rewilding. Rewilding is the act of reconnecting with the natural world and your inner coded DNA, this need to be around nature, whether that's water or green spaces, whatever that may be. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not about camping in the wilderness or climbing Everest. It's basically rewilding is simple and accessible. It's about finding small, meaningful ways to incorporate nature into your life. Just actionable ways to actually incorporate nature in your day-to-day life to get the benefits of increased cognitive bandwidth or the calmness, the de-stressing impact of being by water. So let's break down some actionable steps you can take to actually tap into these natural ways that have been hard-coded into us over millions of years to actually help yourself to calm down, maybe make yourself more creative. It doesn't matter if you're in a suburban or a rural area. There's always a way you can incorporate nature, whether that's a blue space or a green space, into your daily routine. First one is begin each morning with 5 minutes in nature. Whether that's opening a window, listening to the birds, or even better, stand outside. Take your cup of coffee, your morning coffee, stand outside. In fact, stand outside barefoot on the grass. Feel the earth. I'm going to do a future episode about grounding, but just connect with nature with your bare feet. Stand there, sip your coffee, watching the sunrise, literally connect with nature. And also the benefit there is, we've talked about it many times before on the podcast, about the benefit of that early morning light in terms of your sleep patterns. You're actually resetting your circadian rhythm to tell your body it's morning. The clock or the countdown for sleep gets reset at that point. So you're killing almost, pardon the pun, two birds with one stone. You're connecting with nature, but also you're gearing yourself up for a good night's sleep the following night. So just something simple as that, getting out there first thing in the morning and connecting with nature and getting a bit of morning sunlight while you're at it. The next one for me is to take your exercise out into nature. You could try taking your run out into nature instead of running around the streets of the city or the town where you live. Actually take it out onto a trail, country, a woodland trail, or onto the beach. I know from my own personal experience, some of my most enjoyable runs and calming runs have been either through trails in a woodland or, in one particular occasion, going back nearly 30 years now, during a quite challenging time in my life, runs along the beach in Portugal. There were times where actually, in terms I could leave my troubles behind, I got the sea on one side, the sand and the cliffs on the other side, and literally I could lose myself, and it was restorative. I came back feeling, relaxed. I also felt as if I could carry on going forever. So take that exercise, such as running, rethink where you're going to go. You could do your yoga outside. You could do circuit training out in a countryside setting, finding somewhere quiet to do it. So incorporate exercise and the benefit of being, whether it's in a blue or green space, with your exercise. Now, if you don't have exercise to a park or water, and you're in a city setting, why not decorate your space, workspace or home space with nature-inspired items? A plant or a digital frame going through images of, whether it be beach scenes or country scenes. I actually read some research that where basically somebody has a plant on the desk, it actually has that calming effect and actually improves productivity. That you can actually, by simulating nature, you actually can lower your stress levels. The other one is, why not have a forest bathing break? Forest bathing basically is about immersing yourself in nature. It's about just soaking up that forest atmosphere. In Japan, they've got a name for it, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's called Shinrin-yoku. And this was, again, driven back in Japan to get people out of the cities to exercise more and get out into the woods and the surrounding countryside. And although originally it was designed to get people out into and enjoy the natural landscape, research then found that the chemicals within the woods that the trees released had a beneficial effect. So why not find a quiet spot even in a park or a garden, sit under a tree, turn your phone off, and just sit there, engage your senses, notice the colours, the smells, the textures. Just immerse yourself in that nature. Just bathe in the natural environment that you're in. And again, if you're struggling during the day to actually get out, if the park's too far away, you haven't got an open space, a green space, or a blue space anywhere near, why not download or use Spotify or whatever your platform is and have water sounds, whether that's rain, rivers, ocean waves playing in the background while you work. It's almost a meditative approach during the workday. You've actually got the sounds of nature in the background. And again, there's been some research done of office environments where they play natural noises like that, whether it's the sound of rain or birds in the background. Productivity improves. Attendance is better. It's just that natural way of immersing yourself in nature while you go about your normal tasks. Again, it's tapping into what has been or what is hardwired into us. So it's something you can even do when you're stuck indoors. Last one, or in terms of, sorry, not the last one at all. Why don't you plan a day a week where it's your day to connect with nature? Again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy or elaborate. It could be just a picnic in the park. You can actually try a new sport, paddleboarding, for instance, getting out on the water, or just simply sitting by a pond or under a tree with the novel you're reading at this moment in time. That can actually just arranging a day and a time when you actually go out and connect with nature and spend time in nature. While you could be doing something else, it could be trying out a new sport or reading your novel. Another key one for me is plan your social time around nature. Why not, instead of meeting somebody in a coffee shop, why not buy your coffee to go and then walk in a natural setting such as a park, or again, if you've got a waterfront, with your coffee and engage in that social interaction in a natural environment. So again, you're doubling up or combining two things that are very good for your well-being. One is that social interaction, being part and connecting with somebody else, key for your well-being. We are social creatures. Being part of a tribe, again, is hardwired into us. It's one of the reasons for survival. So connecting with somebody satisfies that need to be part of a tribe. It's a social connection. And at the same time, going out there and doing that in nature, whether it's sitting in a park, going for a walk in a green space or a blue space, actually you're doubling up on the benefits of almost three, if you discount the cost of a coffee, items that you can put together to boost your well-being. And why not think about your workday? Why not rewild your actual workday? What about taking meetings outside when possible, weather permitting, and your company and workplace permitting? But you could have a walking meeting in a nearby park that can, again, boost your creativity, help you to focus, and also reduce stress by taking it away from that traditional office setting. There's all manner of ways about being creative that you can actually take yourself out of the urban jungle we're in and actually go into a natural setting just by a little bit of pre-planning and thought. Again, use your lunch break to go out and take a walk in nature. Instead of sitting at your desk eating the sandwich, why not take your lunch out and take that break in nature? So my challenge to you is actually to think about bringing the natural environment into your everyday life, employing some of the tools or the little tactics we talk about to connect with nature and use it as an item to de-stress yourself and boost your creativity. You've got to remember, nature is a natural backdrop to our lives. It's hardwired into us. It's almost a partner in our well-being. If we deprive ourselves of nature, we're actually impacting our well-being. I read a stat somewhere, and off the top of my head, but in terms of these days, people don't connect with nature for something like 30 odd, 40 odd % of the time. This is making a conscious effort to actually connect with nature. That is, gazing at a lake for a while, being mindful, just spend time observing, taking it in, walking through a forest, taking in the smells, the sounds, the sights, or just, as I've said, as simple as bringing outdoors into your home, whether that's a plant, a picture, the sounds. These moments can actually help you to reduce your stress levels, improve your mood, and your overall perspective on the day. So, some important things to consider. I'd say thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Winning Edge Coach podcast. If you did find today's episode insightful and valuable, please share this episode with someone who could use a little bit of nature and connection with the natural world in their life and would benefit from learning about rewilding. Don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. That helps get us seen. It helps the podcast to expand. Also, you get notified when new episodes come out, and there's different tips and strategies on other matters with regard to whether it's mindset, improving your body, productivity, whatever that may be. Okay, until next time, why not take a deep breath, step outside and find your balance in whether it's a blue setting or a green setting. That was the Winning Edge Coach podcast. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Winning Edge Coach podcast and you'd like to help support the podcast, please hit the subscribe button and if possible, leave a rating or a review. Also, please feel free to share the podcast with others and post about it on your favourite social media platform. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Twitter @WinningEdgePod. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.